You are 28 years old and you are good at being invisible. This is not a metaphor. You have spent the last 5 years moving between private security contracts across Europe and Southeast Asia, and the skill that keeps you valuable is the ability to stand inside a room full of important men and register as part of the architecture. You learn their sightlines. You learn the exact shape of their attention. You become background, a suited figure near the exit, a shadow with an earpiece. This is what you are doing the night the rest of your life begins, standing post in the corner of a private ballroom at a discreet hotel in Zurich, watching the flow of the crowd around a man named Arkady Volkov. Volkov is not your principal. Your principal is a jittery American tech investor 3 tables away who hired your firm because he enjoys the theater of importance. Volkov is something else entirely. 62, silver-haired, built with the kind of physical authority that survives decades of boardrooms and back channels. 4 of his own men are positioned with professional spacing, and you have already catalogued their postures, their sightlines, and their reaction tempos in the first 10 minutes on station. You are not supposed to notice what happens next. Your focus should remain on the American. But the geometry of the room is off, and your eyes track movement the way gravity tracks mass. A woman in a midnight blue dress approaches Volkov's table carrying a glass of champagne she did not collect from any of the circulating trays. The angle of her wrist, the tension in her forearm, the way her gaze flicks once toward the nearest security man, all of it registers before conscious thought completes the sentence. You are already moving. You intercept her 6 feet from the table. Your hand closes around her wrist with precisely enough pressure to control without bruising. You smile and say something bland and social that sounds, to any observer, like a courteous redirection. Her eyes flatten. She calculates. Then she lets the glass drop, turns, and walks away at a measured pace. You do not pursue. Your mandate is threat neutralization, not detention. The glass shatters against the marble with a bright, harmless sound. Champagne spreads in a thin, fizzing arc. Volkov watches the entire sequence without expression. His gaze settles on you for a long, evaluating moment. Then he returns to his oysters as if nothing of consequence has occurred. 40 minutes later, one of his men approaches and informs you that Mr. Volkov would like a word. You go. Refusal would create its own complications, and curiosity is already sharpening inside you. Volkov sits alone now at a private table. He studies you the way a man studies a tool he is considering acquiring. He asks 2 questions. The first is how you knew. The second is whether you have ever killed anyone. You answer both honestly. Men like Volkov have spent lifetimes detecting flattery and evasion. Truth carries more weight here than any polished credential. Geometry and pattern recognition, you tell him. And yes, twice, both times under contract and within legal parameters at the time. Volkov nods once, slowly. He tells you exactly who the woman was, who sent her, and what the champagne had been laced with. He names 3 men who want him dead and explains, with clinical brevity, why. Then he tells you what he actually needs. It is not additional security. It is something final. You spend 48 hours weighing the offer. The moral dimension is present but not decisive. You have long since learned to separate ethical weight from operational reality. What matters more is the strategic delta. Your current life is legal, moderately lucrative, and survivable. What Volkov offers is a different category entirely. Compensation that renders your present income irrelevant, infrastructure that private contractors only dream of, documents, logistics, exfiltration routes, and institutional backing. What he offers is also, you understand with perfect clarity, a one-way door. You walk through it. The first contract takes 4 months. The delay teaches you more than the previous 5 years of legitimate work combined. You learn that the men who move against Volkov are not impulsive. They are institutional. They build redundancies. Removing one threat vector does not neutralize the system. You stop thinking in terms of single targets and begin thinking in architectures. Violence becomes the final 10 seconds of a process that requires months of mapping, analysis, and controlled disruption. The act itself is almost incidental. The preparation is everything. The target is a former intelligence officer running influence operations out of Vienna. You spend weeks learning the rhythm of his life, the precise places where habit overrides caution. You introduce one small, calibrated change into his environment and wait for the inevitable return to pattern. When the moment arrives, it is clean, quiet, and untraceable. You are on a flight out of Europe before the body is discovered. Volkov is satisfied. The first payment lands in an account you did not know existed. He gives you the second name. This is how the years begin to pass. Not in cinematic bursts but in long stretches of research punctuated by decisive action, followed by silence and the next file. You accumulate knowledge like geological layers. You learn that the world of oligarchs is less a hierarchy than a complex ecosystem where today's client can become tomorrow's threat. You learn to read the financial nervous system behind every contract, because money reveals intent and urgency more reliably than any surveillance. You cultivate quiet sources in administrative and logistical positions, never pushing hard enough to raise suspicion, simply maintaining access for when it matters. The moral weight never vanishes, but it changes shape. It hardens into a functional realism. You understand the category of people who end up in your sights, men who have authorized violence against others and simply prefer not to dirty their own hands. This does not absolve you. You are not interested in absolution. You are interested in precision, and precision becomes its own discipline when no cleaner ethical framework is available.